and welcome. You're watching The Last Word, and our big focus is on the Parliament session, especially on the Prime Minister's speech today. Now, the first session of the 18th Lok Sabha concluded today with the Prime Minister's address in Rajya Sabha. But in the middle of his speech, opposition staged a walkout, alleging that they were not allowed to clarify on a point raised by the Prime Minister on the Constitution. Government trained their guns at the opposition, claiming that they have insulted the upper house and mocked the Constitution. Take a look at this report that encapsulates the day's developments.
उनको आदि है, इस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट इज नॉट अप्रोप्रिएट। उन्होंने उठाए हुए सवालों के जवाब भी सुनने की हिम्मत नहीं। सदन छोड़कर नहीं गए, मर्यादा छोड़कर गए।
Fireworks in the Rajya Sabha as the entire opposition, including Naveen Patnaik's Biju Janata Dal, walked out in the middle of the Prime Minister's address. The provocation, Chairman Jagdeep Dhankar refused to grant permission to Leader of Opposition Mallikarjun Kharge to intervene during the Prime Minister's address.
Of the rules, this conduct is not appropriate.
At the time, PM Modi was attacking the opposition over the Constitution, saying unlike them, his government saw the Constitution as a guiding light.
आदरणीय सभापति जी, मैं बहुत गंभीरता से कह रहा हूं कि देश में कांग्रेस संविधान की सबसे बड़ी विरोधी है। उसके जहन में झूठ फैलाने वालों की सत्य सुनने की ताकत भी नहीं होती। उन्होंने उठाए हुए सवालों के जवाब भी सुनने की हिम्मत नहीं है।
उनकी आदत है झूठ बोलना, लोगों को भ्रमित करना। संविधान तो आप नहीं बनाए, संविधान के आप विरोधी थे। कौन संविधान के फार थे, कौन संविधान के खिलाफ थे?
वो सदन छोड़कर नहीं गए, मर्यादा छोड़कर गए। उन्होंने मुझे पीठ नहीं दिखाई है, भारत के संविधान को पीठ दिखाई है।
कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को उनकी इज्जत रखना, प्रधानमंत्री हो या सदन के प्रमुख हो, इनकी जिम्मेदारी थी। मगर आज ये सब नजरअंदाज किया, पूरा खुद से हम बाहर आए।
In his Rajya Sabha address, the Prime Minister attacked the opposition on a range of issues. The Prime Minister brought up the flogging of a couple in Bengal at the hands of a man close to the local TMC MLA.
तस्वीरें रोंग पे खड़े करने वाली है। और जो अपने आप को बहुत बड़े प्रगतिशील नारी नेता मानते हैं, वो भी मुंह पे ताले लगा करके बैठ गए।
Prime Minister Modi, accused by the opposition of being silent on the Manipur ethnic clashes, blamed the opposition, saying they were taking advantage of a fragile situation.
मणिपुर की स्थिति सामान्य करने के लिए सरकार निरंतर प्रयासरत है। मणिपुर में लगातार हिंसा की घटनाएं कम होती जा रही। जो भी तत्व मणिपुर की आग में घी डालने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, मैं उनसे आगाह करता हूं कि ये हरकतें बंद करें।
प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी, उन्होंने सदन के अंदर सदन को भ्रमित किया है और पूरे देश को आज उन्होंने ये सबूत दिया है कि वे मणिपुर के बारे में कुछ नहीं जानते।
The Prime Minister also took a swipe at Sonia Gandhi, who has often been accused by the BJP of running the Manmohan Singh government from behind the scenes.
ऑटो पायलट मोड पे सरकार चलाने का या तो रिमोट पायलट पर सरकार चलाने का उनको आदी है, इसलिए वो कुछ करना धरने में विश्वास नहीं करते।
The attack and the counter attack between the government and the opposition continues. This clearly is not a good sign for parliamentary democracy, and both will need to sit down and work together in the coming days if parliament has to function properly.
The story in the Lok Sabha yesterday was not much different. On target was Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi.
और जब ये बालक बुद्धि पूरी तरह सवार हो जाती है, तो सदन में भी किसी के गले पड़ जाते हैं। ये बालक बुद्धि अपनी सीमाएं खो देती है, तो सदन के अंदर बैठ करके आंखें मारते हैं, आंखें मारते हैं। आज देश इनसे कह रहा है, तुमसे नहीं हो पाएगा। देश ने कल 1 जुलाई को खटाखट दिवस भी मनाया है। तीसरी बारी तो हारे हैं, पर मौसी मोरल विक्ट्री तो है ना। अरे मौसी, 13 राज्यों में 0 सीटें आई हैं, पर हीरो तो है ना।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi gave a ball-by-ball reply to both Rahul Gandhi in the Lok Sabha and Mallikarjun Kharge in the Rajya Sabha. He chose not to mention Manipur in the Lok Sabha, but made up in the Rajya Sabha with a detailed response. What was common was the strong counter-attack on the opposition that seems to have found a voice after a decade of silence. With Sunil Prabhu, Bureau Report, NDTV.
And to discuss this further, I'm joined by an esteemed panel. I have Mr. JB Mathur of the Congress, Rajya Sabha MP from the Congress, RP Singh, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Ajay Kumar Pandey, Spokesperson of the LJP, and Rashid Kidwai, Senior Journalist. Thank you so much to all of you for joining me on the discussion. First to the Congress, my first question there. The Prime Minister said today that the upper house was insulted, and the government also later on in a briefing said that the Constitution has been mocked by the opposition as it walked out amid the Prime Minister's speech in the Rajya Sabha. Now, how does Congress respond to these charges?
These charges are baseless and grossly, not factual. So, what happened today, the opposition, the Congress, the India Alliance very patiently listened to the Prime Minister's speech, and there was no noise, there was total silence. We were carefully listening, very respectfully listening to the Prime Minister's words. But when Prime Minister started saying false things, wrong things, of course, the Constitution, the parliamentary procedure provides the opportunity, the rules allows it. So the leader of the opposition stood and sought for an opportunity to speak for 1 minute, but that was not allowed, that was not yielded, and he asked repeatedly, he asked once. Mallikarjun Kharge, such a senior parliamentarian, the leader of opposition, one of the finest leaders who knows history from his heart and mind itself, and he was not allowed to speak for 1 minute in spite of repeatedly asking once, twice, thrice. So that is the moment when the opposition, as part of protest, it's not just Congress, it's the total India Alliance and also even BJD, all those parties walked out, because it is a very, very attacking and not respecting the dignity, not giving the respect and honor and dignity to the leader of the opposition post.
Let me take that to the BJP.
Which is not what we want to happen.
Right. Let me take that point. You've made your point, JB Mathur. Let me take that to the BJP. Mr. RP Singh, the opposition is saying that when the leader of the opposition in Lok Sabha spoke, his speech was interjected multiple times, including by the Prime Minister and then several other ministers as well. So why are the rules different? Why was the leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha not allowed that right when he wanted to interject once?
Well, it's up to the speaker whether he yields or not. Madam JB Mathur is the parliamentarian herself. She knows the process. She knows the procedure. The parliamentary procedure says that if I am speaking, if she is speaking, and someone wants to interject, it's up to her to allow the person to yield or not. Mr. Rahul Gandhi could have said that I am not prepared to yield, and then no one could have intervened. But that's the parliamentary procedure, one. Secondly, what happened yesterday? There was a ruckus in the parliament. The leader of opposition was instigating the member from the from the opposition party and from the other alliance partners to go and create ruckus in the well of the house. And was Prime Minister allowed to speak without any interference or without any interruption throughout his speech of 2 hours and 25 minutes? Well, they were chanting slogans. They were hooting. So if that is the attitude of opposition, so the country can see through it. And even today, LOP got a chance to speak when he was allowed to speak earlier in the session, where he made his points. Now it was the turn of the Prime Minister to answer each and every question. But as they have done it in earlier parliament also, in the last parliament also, They created ruckus. They walked out when Prime Minister was speaking about the Manipur in the 17th Parliament. They walked out of the Parliament. When Home Minister wanted to give an answer, they created a lot of ruckus there. To the extent they did bhangra on the tables and they threw the leaflets and the material on the chair. So we have seen all that, and then this present opposition is doing what earlier they have done in the earlier Parliament also, and is in continuation to their earlier conduct. Parliament is there to debate.
All right.
Parliament is not.
Right. Yes, the Parliament should be a
Parliament is not
place
a
to
jantar
debate.
mantar. Parliament is not a jantar mantar. You have a separate place where you can protest, you can do whatever you want to
Parliament
do. That is jantar mantar.
Right.
And then Parliament is there for debate.
Parliament should be a place for debates and discussions, and that's what the people would also expect from their leaders. Ajay Kumar Pandey, there were a lot of expectations of a softer approach by the NDA, right after the results came out, because it was not a BJP majority government on its own. It was an NDA government after 10 years of a BJP majority government. So there were a lot of expectations that the government's approach would be more conciliatory, less combative. As an ally, is that what you would advise to the BJP? We have seen the first session, it's concluded, but for the rest of the Lok Sabha, the budget session is going to come up next. As an ally, what would be your advice?
No, I don't see any lacking on the part of the BJP-led NDA government. So there is nothing to be advised. My sensible advice would be to my friends in the India Bloc that let the tragedy of third time failure not hit you so bad that you forget everything about the democracy. It may be the third defeat, but it is not the death of the Congress state. So behave. People have given you mandate to sit in constructive opposition. Be an responsible opposition and go back to the people asking for the mandate. You have to respect the crores of people's mandate. This is not the way. You have been mocking Parliament. You have degraded our Lord Shiva. You have been mocking EVM, you have been mocking democracy. You went and, spread all kinds of rumors, threatened us with the riots. Is this the way? We have seen you behaving in the same way right from 2014. And my sincere and sensible advice to the young Rahul Gandhi, you keep on saying lies and you are convicted, already calling a particular caste a thief, and you gone to Supreme Court, apologized, you are on the bell. What kind of precedents you are setting in front of the young people?
We'll get a response from Congress on that. But first, let me bring in Rashid Kidwai. Mr. Kidwai, the NDA reduced majority and the resurgent opposition in Parliament this time. Given this session, the first trailer of sorts, what is your observation? Do you think it will be a parliament riddled with disruptions once again?
I don't know what to say. I think Mr. Arpit Singh's party has been a past master of disruptions. Both Mr. Arun Jaitley and Sushma Swaraj have been on record to say disruptions, including boycotts, walkouts, is a legitimate, political activity inside the House. Mr. A. Raja, who was accused of some wrongdoing in 2G when he was a telecom minister, was not allowed to speak for 40 days. You see, even on the issue of Somalian pirates, the BJP staged a walkout. A walkout in British Parliament and so in Indian Parliament is a very legitimate activity. And as we speak, the BJP in opposition in Himachal Pradesh, in Jharkhand, in Karnataka have been regularly staging a walkout. A walkout is not something wrongdoing or running away, or that BJP is entitled to make a formal this kind of formulation. But walkout is a very much part and parcel of it. And as I said, the BJP has been done on nuclear deal, on so many issues. I have been covering Parliament since 9th Lok Sabha, and I have seen this is 18th Lok Sabha. Umpteen number of times the BJP has done it. Today they are behaving as if it is something which is very wrong. It is something that should not be done, and they're trying to build a narrative. A walkout is perhaps, as a journalist, I would feel it's not a desirable thing. Opposition should have heard out the Prime Minister, but there is nothing wrong in it. And when the BJP was doing it, they saw nothing wrong in it. So this is a clear case of double standard and afterthought and a sort of thing that because they are in power, they think that they can get away by building this kind of narrative.
Right. Mr. R.P. Singh, would you want to respond to that? Because, saying that the opposition has insulted the upper house by staging a walkout during the Prime Minister's speech, is that a bit extreme? Because, as Mr. Kidwai is also saying, that is the opposition registering its protest. And according to them, they have valid grounds for doing so. Your response to the points that Mr. Kidwai has raised?
Well, they have all the right. And then Mr. Kidwai, from his knowledge of the parliamentary procedures and being part of the person who has covered the parliament for almost 40 years, as he's saying, I respect him. But ask him, when did Sushma Swaraj or Arun Jaitley ji went to the well and did bhagda on the tables and threw the material on the chair, or the papers on the chair, or the books on the chair? We never seen it. I mean, I've been also been active in public life since 1977. And in my career, I've never seen any scene of that sort, one. Secondly, when was it last time, Mr. Kidwai, that when Prime Minister was speaking on the presidential address, the opposition created ruckus? They didn't allow the Prime Minister to speak. When Prime Minister was giving a answer on the presidential speech, I mean, when he was giving a speech on the presidential speech. So there's a new parliament, there's a new opposition. They have all the right to do what they want to do. As I said earlier, there's a difference between Jantar Mantar and the parliament.
Okay,
there are norms. Give me another second. There are norms for the parliament. There are no norms on Jantar Mantar, but there are norms. But anyhow, they can do away what they want to do at Jantar Mantar, but not in the parliament.
Going back to JB Mathur there, taking forward the point that we've seen a walkout, we've seen sloganeering done by the oppositions over the past several days now. But we've seen key issues also, key aspects that the Prime Minister has touched upon during both his speeches in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. In fact, today was the most detailed response given by the Prime Minister on the Manipur issue. But your party and the opposition were absent from the upper house. Is that the right way forward for an issue that you have been raising? And when the Prime Minister is giving a detailed response, opposition's not there, missing in action.
We have been very clear that Manipur is one of the burning issues, and finally, under pressure, Prime Minister has opened his, few words on Manipur. But while speaking about Manipur, Prime Minister has not said the actual position about Manipur is also the truth. What we realize, what we understand is that Prime Minister said about Manipur as painted a very rosy picture, bright, nice, shining Manipur, but that's not the case. The MP from Inner Manipur very, very emotionally spoke in Lok Sabha about the current state of affairs of Manipur. Also, I also want to say the BJP spokesperson who was saying that Parliament is a place for debate. Oh, they say all these great words and lines, but when it comes to reality, there is no parliament place for debate. If it was a place for debate, then they should have allowed it. They should have allowed Mallikarjun Kharge ji to speak for 1 minute today. They do not allow. And the other panelist was saying that Congress is against Shiva. I think that's very, very unfair to raise such things, because Rahul ji's speech itself was totally explaining the greatness of Lord Shiva and not against anything against Lord Shiva. And also, I want to place it on record one more thing. Sagarika Ghosh in her maiden speech said one line. She said, now country is facing democracy deficit, and that's actually happening. In a democracy, there should be healthy debate. But here, what is happening is there are two different rule books.
We have very less time left on the show. I will have to give time for Mr. R.P. Singh to respond to what you have said, JB Mathur. Yes, Mr. R.P. Singh, you can respond.
They will allow.
Mr. JB Mathur, Ms. JB Mathur, I beg your pardon. Please let R.P. Singh respond to the points that you have raised. Yes, Mr. Singh.
Well, that's what happened in the parliament also. I mean, they don't heed to the chair also. But that point aside, she was talking about Sagarika Ghosh. I mean, please ask Sagarika Ghosh to allow Congress to their freedom in Bengal at least. I mean, allow the democracy be seen in the Bengal also, and let Congress have some say in Bengal. but that won't happen. But point aside, the issue is that there's a parliamentary procedure, and then you can't throw the parliamentary procedure and then say what you want to say. One. Secondly, again, what my friend from LJP said, that they were degrading the Lord Shiva. They degraded Guru Nanak Dev Ji also by saying that the Abhay Mudra is the same mudra as the hand of the Congress party. This is such a shame. This hand of the Congress party butchered 3006 in Delhi. Mr. Rajiv Gandhi was part of that team which butchered 3006, this hand of the Congress party.
Okay, the final word I will now give it to Mr. Rashid Kidwai and also Mr. Ajay Pandey. In fact, both of you can come in on this. The final word, what is there a new strategy that is needed by the government or rather between the Treasury and the opposition benches to ensure that there's more dialogue and discussion in the Parliament? 30 seconds each because we have very less time. Mr. Ajay Kumar Pandey first, followed by Rashid Kidwai.
Yes, they are saying that they are creating this ruckus because LOP was not allowed to speak. But the other members who spoke, what they spoke, kit, cut. This is the level of debate in Parliament. And for
So
that, when Mr. Khadge was even given a compliment, he took it to the caste system, Varna system. So this is the topic you want to address, and for that you don't allow the Parliament.
Right, Mr. Kidwai, 30 seconds. 30 seconds we have for your response. Yes, please go ahead.
I think the trust deficit between the Prime Minister and the leader of opposition must be bridged. And of course, the ruling party should take a lead. Then, see, the presiding officers in the both houses should not be seen as becoming an extended arm of the ruling party. So these are the two conditions. If they are met, then I think they're going to be smooth functioning of both houses.
Right. There, JB Mathur, RP Singh, Ajay Kumar Pandey and Rashid Kidwai, thank you so much for joining me on this very important discussion on the Parliament proceedings today. Right. And we are also joined on the show by TMC's Sushmita Dev. In fact, Sushmita, thank you for speaking to us here on NDTV. My first question to you is that the leader of opposition, of course, wanted to make a point about the constitution. But is it right for the opposition to stage a walkout in between the Prime Minister's speech? I mean, is that the sign of a mature opposition?
You see, when the Prime Minister arrived to deliver his speech, we were listening to it very patiently till he started misrepresenting facts. So as you know, in Parliament, everything goes on record, whether it's the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. So to put this kind of lies on record is something the leader of the opposition, that's a constitutional post, as you know, wanted to intervene and set the record straight. But we were not allowed to intervene. Whereas we noticed in Lok Sabha, when leader of the opposition was speaking, the Prime Minister was allowed to intervene, several ministers were allowed to intervene, members of Parliament were allowed to intervene. So you see, the rules or the exercise of discretion must be free and must be fair to both sides. So if you expect us to sit there and listen to a monologue and a saga of lies being put on record without any interruption, then that's not a democratically run parliament as far as we are concerned. So we are not going to sit there like puppets and let the Prime Minister go on and on. Criticism is one thing. You know, it happens in Parliament. You criticize each other. But to not allow a single word in from the leader of opposition to set the record correct, to put the true facts on record, we felt was extremely unfair.
Right. In fact, Ms. Dev, PM also raised the Bengal public flogging videos in his speech, comparing it to Sandesh Khali and claiming that it was yet another instance of a shocking crime against women case coming from Bengal. Your response?
My response to the Prime Minister referring to the two incidents, one in Chopra and one that happened during the election, Sandesh Khali, is as follows. That all that he spoke about in this campaign in Bengal is Sandesh Khali, and you saw what the results were. Not just in the entire state, but in Sandesh Khali itself, where Mamata Banerjee and Trinamool Congress literally swept the election there. Add to that the fact that it is horrific to think that the Bharatiya Janata Party, to win an election, will exploit poor women, give them 2,000 rupees to give fake statements and fake complaints. For what? Only to win an election. It is, I think, deplorable, and that itself was exposed during elections. Now, please come to the incident that happened in Chopra, the video that went viral. Nobody in Trinamool Congress, nobody in the Bengal government can condone such an act. In fact, we condemn it. And what is it that the people of the state or of the country expect out of a chief minister? That there will be immediate action, police action, that they will be arrested, the perpetrators, and justice should be done. The West Bengal police filed a suo motu FIR. That means the woman who was being beaten or any bystander didn't file an FIR. The West Bengal police itself filed an FIR and arrested those goons. At the party level, the MLA who passed a disparaging statement about that incident has been show-caused, and another AITC office bearer has been suspended from the party. So to say that this is all of Bengal and this is what Trinamool Congress stands for is entirely wrong.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Dev, for joining us here on NDTV. And with that, it's a wrap on the show. Keep watching the channel.